this video, I'm going to build this mallet. I just needed another mallet, and I had some hickory a friend gave me, so I decided to build me a nice big heavy one. This is a relatively simple project. This one's a little more complicated because I put basically a steel pin in the center because there's two pieces of wood. But it turned out pretty nice. It'll do some real whopping there. So anyway, this is an excellent project for a beginner. It's not overly complicated, but yet it allows you to, develop some spindle tools. My grandson came over, I guess it was last weekend, and he wanted to do something, so I told him, I said, well, you're going to build a mallet. Because you haven't done much spindle work and you need to practice, so you might as well make something useful. So all I did was help him square up the wood. It was a 4x6 piece of hickory. I helped him square it up and put it between centers, because when I put something like this between centers, I have my way of doing it. You'll see later in the video how I do it. I do it the same way. Every time I do something between centers, it's either on a faceplate or I do it my way by drilling a hole in the end for the drive center. So there it is, and a little disappointing. He actually did a better job than I did. I just turned him loose after I got him set up to make sure that he was safe, because when he's over here doing something, his health is my responsibility. So he's going to do it my way or he's not going to do it at all. That's the rules around here. So let's watch me build this mallet, and let's go. You'll have to pardon the back brace, but years ago I had an aircraft fall on me and broke my ribs up near the spine, and they grew back with, had some leftovers like spurs and stuff like that, and occasionally it really gets to bother me. It's up in the middle of my back. Anyway, so much for that. I just wanted to tell you why I'm wearing it. Before I got into wood turning, I never even owned a mallet. And you can look around until I got about every tool there is. So, I built one of the first things I turned. This is out of a black walnut. I was just basically learning how to, do some spindle turning and stuff. And I find that I use this almost on a daily basis. So I decided I want to build a bigger one. So this is hickory. It's 4x4. Got it from my friend that owns a sawmill. It was 4x6. I whittled off one side, and the plan is to make this the head and make this the handle. Now, just for safety purposes, because I might be subject to some heavy hitting, I'm going to go ahead and insert a piece of 1/2 inch all thread in it, and this will sit into here like this. I don't know, just for grins, probably would never need it, and then the head will taper down to it right about here and round off. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out what I'm going to do next. I believe I'm going to take the handle and get it to round and drilled out to insert this end, and then I will put this on, probably on a faceplate, and get it all rounded out. And I've taken a couple days off, finally finishing up all the damage that was done to the house due to that lightning strike. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go back, let me see now, 2 videos when I built that extra tower and I explained it all. Anyway, it took a lot of my time. I'm back. Okay, this is going to be the handle like we talked about. And I've already drilled it and pounded that 6-inch all thread in there. It goes in this far right here. Now what I'm going to do next is I've got the head blank, I guess you could call it. It's already on the lathe on a faceplate, and I'm going to drill a hole in it down to here, and then I will take and put this back on the lathe and turn it down to where it fits in the hole, glue it in, let it sit a day or so, and come back. Now, what I want to tell you whenever I'm drilling hardwood, let me get this camera over here. As I take 3 Forester bits, now this is the ultimate size right here. Let me turn it, make sure that I'm getting you in here. I have a bad habit of not. Okay, this is the ultimate size. Now I will put this in the Jacob's chuck first, and I will drill right in here, and I will only go maybe a 1/4 inch deep, and I'll stop there. Now what that does is that gives me sort of a track as to where this one will go. You'll see why in a minute. And then I take another size about halfway in between, and I drill the center of that down about 1/4 inch. Okay, so I do that, and then I take the smallest one and I go ahead and drill the depth with this one. Now what that does, this one will drill a whole lot easier in that hardwood. What that does is it gives me a way of not using this entire bit, because you know this hardwood, it'd be a lot of pull, a lot of heat. So it's easier once you do the first one, get it drilled, to come back into this one. Now you've already got your predetermined groove, and drill it to depth, and then come back to the final one. So it's 3 steps. This time we're making the track for the outer one. So let's see what we got here now. I might have to start this one a little easier. Just let it make a track. Trying to do now is just make a place so it's fitted here on the final row. I could probably drill it with this all the way, but the way I do it it saves the bits quite a bit. All right, let's see what we got. That looks good. Okay, we'll take this one off. Maybe. And we'll put the next size in. I guess you could call this tip drilling. I think so. Guy down in Louisiana do this. His name sort of eludes me at this moment. So we're going to do the same thing on this one now. Actually, it's cutting pretty easy. That's good. Now we're going to put the final one in. Not the final, but the first for the final. And this one we're going to drill to depth. Make sure all these have the right shank size. They do. Okay. I find these drill, they actually work better somewhere around 300 RPM. They can get hot, so you have to take it easy and back them out. Keep my hand out of the way so you can see. I usually go about 1 inch at a time. Good. Back it up. Depends on how hot it is. I'm not going to touch it to find out. I try to put a little bit of just regular old candle wax in. Makes life a little easier. See, you've got a place for this to start without it trying to wobble all over the place. And it will cut a hole whole lot easier. Don't be fooled by cutting easy because it can still jam up on you. Now that's especially true if you're doing wet wood. Here again, we got its own trail. We got our hole, my friends. Now before I take this off and put the handle on to turn it down to fit in this hole, I noticed it had a little wobble, so I'm going to go ahead and just flatten the surface up. And for that I'll use my beaver, and I'll use my face shield. Well, I took this over and drilled, see right here, I drilled a 1-inch forester bit hole about, I don't know, a little over, maybe about 3/8 inches deep. And I do this on every time I use a spur drive because it fits in this hole right here and makes it virtually impossible to come out. It's just a safety precaution. Epoxying on here now. And we will have the start of a big ass mouth. Alright, I'll catch you later. It's all glued up and on the lathe, so. And I've got everything set here. And then tight. I'll check everything. And we're in good shape. I'm going to go ahead and get this in the round. And then we'll start figuring out what kind of shape we want. Now, while I was waiting, I went ahead and took it to the bandsaw and 45'd all the corners, which sort of helps a little bit. I'm going to do is I'm going to start rounding it here. It'll be about this long. So I'm going to take a parting tool right here. I'm not going to cut it off. I'm just going to make me a deep groove so I'll have a place to round to it. And then the handle is going to come up here with a little knob on the end. And ain't a whole lot much else to do. Find the parting tool. When you're using a parting tool, you don't want to just go in and you rub your bevel and bring it down, but you have to make like a double cut to give it space, otherwise you'll end up jamming it in there. Just thought I'd throw that in for some of you beginners. So you start off by rubbing the bevel, bring the handle up, and get a bite, and you have a deep you want to bite. You know how far you want to go with it. I've been doing this so long now, it's just sort of natural. I don't have to, think about rubbing the bevel and stuff like that. So now I'm going to bring it in this way. Alright, I'm going to come in here and do a little bit of shear cutting to get that fine smoothness I want. That looks pretty good. It'll be sanded, it'll be nice and smooth. Got just a little hump there, which is what I wanted. Okay, I'm going to go down to the handle now. The handle's going to have sort of a rounded area here with a button on the end, I guess you call it. In case y'all interested, I've been turning it right at about 1,000 RPM. That's the max on this slow speed belt. I don't use the high speed very often. It, well, just hadn't been turning any pins or anything like that. You do get a much better cut. If I was turning this at say 1,500, 2,000, I'd be even getting, a better cut than what I'm getting. And that's extremely acceptable right there with just a little sandpaper. I mean, after all, it is a mallet. right, we in business, my friend. I'm gonna cut it off. Little suggestion, when you saw something off like this, if you'll keep it rotating ever so slightly, you'll get a nice straight cut across. Otherwise, you're subject to veer to one side or the other, especially if you hit kind of like a knot or something like that. Just keep it rotating like that. You know, I could use a parting tool or whatever. It wouldn't be no big deal. This works. Sound is changing. I'm getting your bottom. There you go. Nice, smooth. Little sandpaper take care of that. We got this one right here. Same thing. This is going to take a little longer. Well, here you go. A little bit of sanding, and I did go ahead and seal it, and it's all done. Nice, big, heavy mallet. I needed another one for my shop. So, if you like what I do, please subscribe and give me a like and all that kind of stuff. And next one I'll do will be a little more complicated. A little busy lately, so I want to thank you again. And take care of yourself and keep on